I'm Dustin Bryant, and for my commemorative speech, I've chosen to talk about the military. Three things specifically: why I joined, the significance it holds with me as a person and my family and my experiences, and also what I've learned from being in the military. Uh, First things first, I joined when I was 21 years old. At that time, I really didn't know what I wanted to be in life. I had probably 7 or 8 jobs from the time I was 16 up until that point. Nothing really quite working. It was always just a means of pay and to pay the bills and whatever else. But I was actually at a crossroads. My girlfriend at the time, who I'm married to now, thankfully, she stuck around. Probably because I did join the military and things, I showed her that I was serious about providing for a family and things like that. So it all worked out from there. But basically, I went down to the recruiter station. He explained to me the benefits and all that stuff, which I already knew because my dad was in the Air Force also. At the same time, I was actually trying to join, so I looked to him for a lot of advice and things like that. And it was a no brainer. Benefits, medical was free, so if something happens, I don't have to worry about paying a $2,000 bill for a broken leg or whatever else for a hospital visit. The education, which obviously is another no-brainer. You decide to just get out after 4 years in the military, you can get a bachelor's degree for free practically, and then be on your way to a nice civilian job because you've got that free education under your belt. And so I went down to the recruiter station. I told him what I wanted to do. He pointed me in the right direction, and it was off, to the races from there. Basically, I went to MEPS, which is basically where you go to kind of process before you go to basic training. You pick your jobs, you do drug testing, things like that. They evaluate your eyes, your ears, the way you walk to make sure you don't have anything crazy going on before you join. Because what sometimes will happen is somebody will join with a pre-existing injury, get in, and then say, "Oh, it was the Air Force's fault," and then try to get a check after that. So they try to eliminate that from the jump. But from there, I went to basic training for 8.5 weeks. It was kind of tough, but looking back at it now, which most people will tell you is really not that bad. Once you get into the swing of things, it's pretty cake. So graduated from there. Then I went to tech school, which was still at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. Went to tech school training for security forces, which is basically like military police, as I've told you in my last video for my introduction. It was pretty fun. It was about 15 weeks and did all kinds of cool stuff. Learned how to handcuff, take down people, shoot some weapons, do some navigational training, things like that. So some stuff I really would have never got an opportunity to do on the outside, at least, working the jobs I was working before. So from there, I got my orders, which actually turned out to be Lackland Air Force Base again, luckily enough, so I didn't have to relocate or anything. And then it's been smooth sailing from there. Right now, I'm currently at Fort Sam, and things are pretty good right now. The significance is limitless as far as the military goes, from what it can provide for you and what it does for you as far as intangibles go. It's made me a better person. Not that I was a bad person beforehand, but it's made me appreciate the things I have and what others have done for us as far as the military goes and things like that. Because there are long days and long nights and holidays you don't always get, and birthdays you have to plan out 6 months ahead so you can get there and make sure you're there for the birthday party and things like that. But that's something you deal with. You kind of weigh the good with the bad, and the good, I'd say, significantly outweighs the bad. I'm not sure about others, but I'd say most people would agree with that. The opportunities it's provided for me, I've only traveled a little bit. Like I said, I've been at Lackland and Fort Sam, San Antonio this entire time for the past 5 years. So, but other than that, I went to Jordan for a short deployment, which was pretty good. A nice culture shock, that whole thing. And got to visit Petra, which is, I believe, a seventh or eighth wonder of the world, or used to be. I'm not sure how they do that. But that was pretty fun. Like I said, another experience I never would have gotten, never would even dreamed to go there or had the opportunity to had I not joined the military. Another thing is meeting new friends and life friends and getting reacquainted with old friends that I used to have before I joined the military. For instance, I was in the parking lot one day coming out of a convenience store, and I happened to see somebody I thought looked familiar out of the corner of my eye, and I asked him his name, and sure enough, we had actually worked together uh, back when I was living in Virginia at Texas Roadhouse about 7 years ago. And sure enough, he was actually in the same job and career field I was. He was actually there for some training, but they say all the time the Air Force is a small world, and it really happens. Whether you're in for a year or in for 24 years, you run into the people that you never thought you were ever going to see again, and boom, there they are on your doorstep half the time. So that's always good. And like I said, meet tons of new people from all walks of life. You know, Southern boys to Yankees or whatever else you want to call them. Uh, all kinds of ethnicities and races. And at the end of the day, we're all just one big family. So it all works out pretty well. Uh, the amount of things I've learned from the military, I'll keep it short, but there is a very long list. Probably most importantly is to be motivated and how to stay motivated. Because there's lots of things in the Air Force and the military in general that most people do not really want to do, at least on a day-to-day basis. Whether it's get up early in the morning, go do PT with your fellow wingman or whoever else, things like that. But at the end of the day, your attitude determines a lot about how your day is going to go. So if you wake up with a sour attitude and you let everything get you down, you're going to have a long day and you're definitely going to have a long career, whether it's 4 years or 20 years. You are in for a long ride. So the best thing for you to do is just enjoy it while you got it and think about all the good things that it's bringing for you and your family. Um, Another thing I've learned, which carries over to the civilian side of the world, and I try to teach my wife all the time, is a lot of things are just out of your control. Whether you're going to the movies or you're going to get gas, sometimes things are going to happen and there's nothing you can do about it. So there's no point in even arguing with it. You go to the movies and they're out of popcorn. It doesn't make much sense to complain about it. You just kind of shrug it off and say, all right, well, I guess there's no popcorn today, so I'm getting Mike and Ike's or Goobers or whatever else. And I try to keep that sense of mind everywhere I go. I get disappointed with things, whether it's traffic or an airline is broke down and I got to wait 3 hours to get on the flight, whatever else. Things are just out of your control, and the military taught me that a lot. Sometimes we have to do the whole thing of hurry up and wait. They say they want you here, so you get there at that time they wanted you to, and you end up waiting about an hour and a half before something even happens. That's just the way it is. So that kind of thing, you take it with a grain of salt and you just keep on pressing on. The other things is how to be humble. I don't like to go around and boast. I don't like to throw out. I'm in the military. Every time I get a chance to talk to somebody, it's just one of those things that some people do, some people don't. I just feel if the conversation presents itself, then sure, I'll say, hey, yeah, I'm in the military. I've been doing this and that. But as far as that goes, I try to keep it to myself. I'm proud of it. But some people, may not want to hear it every time you talk to them, which is fine. I'm very proud of what I've accomplished and what I do. I get goosebumps even just hearing or thinking about the national anthem. So anytime I hear it, get a little misty-eyed sometimes, which is a good feeling because I don't think I had that before, at least from what I remember. And same thing goes for the Pledge of Allegiance also. And lastly, I'd say respect for any individual, no matter if they're 6 years old or 60 years old, if they're a commanding officer or a guy working at the cashier at McDonald's. Everybody gets a sir or ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Hold the door open for folks, which, like I said, I grew up in the South, so that was kind of the thing I was always taught anyways, especially with my dad being in the military. But you really kind of get a real sense of everyone deserves respect, and I'm going to give it to them. And that's basically a lot being said from learning at a young age too, as far as how to be respectful and things like that. Some people don't pick it up quite as much, and they kind of drop it as soon as they get out of uniform. But for me, it's really important. I teach my kids that every day. So that's my commemorative speech. I hope it kind of opened your eyes a little bit as far as whether it was me or the military in general. Feel free to ask any questions in the threads below, and I will be happy to answer them. Thank you and have a good day.